Hey, how you doing? For a long time, and when I say a long time, I mean for as long as this channel has existed, which is on and off for about 11 years, I guess. For a long time, I've tried really hard not to be controversial. I've walked a very fine line, and I've talked a lot about history, and I've talked a lot about the fundamentals of the arts of which I'm interested in, boxing, wrestling, fencing. But I've tried very hard not to make definitive statements that could turn into big, overblown arguments. Now, don't get me wrong, when we've had some fun with some fight breakdowns, I've been quite outspoken about certain characters, about Tom Cruise playing Jack Reacher, about Leonardo DiCaprio playing the part of a tough fighter. Just no. About techniques, the Dread Pirate Roberts choke, clearly it's bullshit. But I've tried really hard not to come down on one side of the fence or another. And I think, and maybe you do too, I think it's time that changed. So in this video, I'm going to tell you why it is that I believe Tyson Fury is the man who's going to reunify the heavyweight boxing titles. Before I get on with that, I've changed the layout slightly. I've moved my camera. It used to be over here. Now it's over here. Lighting's slightly different behind me. Let me know what you think. Stick something in the comments. I'm still not 100% sure. I quite like it. But, yeah, I guess we'll see. I might change it again. But anyway, where was I? Yes, I was talking about boxing and about the heavyweight title and why it is that I think that Tyson Fury is going to be the man that unifies the whole lot. And I think it's simply down to the psychological aspect. I think that there are a number of things at play here. And I guess before we go into detail, we need to be very clear who we're talking about. We're talking about Fury, we're talking about Joshua, and we're talking about Wilder. Everyone else, we're just going to discount them for this. And I suspect that one or two people may take issue with that. But as it stands, there's nobody else there that's at that level that I think stands a chance of winning it. We can discount Trevor Bryan. We can discount Dillian Whyte. They're both pretty good, don't get me wrong. But I don't think that Trevor Bryan is better than Joshua. I don't think Dillian Whyte could beat Deontay Wilder. Simple as that. So let's just forget them. And if you disagree with me, if you think, no, Oz, you're an idiot, we should all be following Joe Joyce or Andy Ruiz Jr., just stick it in the comments and we'll have a bit of a Barney there. So I think that there are a number of things at play here. I think that let's do the Fury Wilder thing first, shall we? Fury Wilder 1. Now, you may disagree, but I think that was clearly a Fury win. I think that Wilder knows that was clearly a Fury win, and I think Fury knows that was clearly a Fury win. Now, obviously, it's gone down as not. It's gone down as a draw, which is just bollocks. But look at how that affected Fury Wilder 2. Go back and watch it again if it's not completely familiar with you. But from the second they started in round 1, Fury absolutely dominated that fight. He was completely on top of Wilder at every step of the way. Even in the round where he got deducted a point, he was still on top, and I suspect that he probably still won that round. I don't know what the judges' scorecards were for it, so I can't say for sure, but I would put money on him having won that absolutely clean. But the fact is, he bullied Wilder so much that his own corner threw in the towel. Wilder had nothing. And the reason he had nothing is because Wilder is dangerous because of his right. He knows that if he hits anyone square, they're going down and they ain't getting back up. Or at least he did know that until he hit Fury square and he went down and then he got back up. And at that point, Wilder realised that he wasn't invincible, that he could be beaten, because his weapon, his one weapon, because, let's face it, he's not a technical boxer. He's a fighter, he's a hitter, he's a knockout artist. That's what he does, and he does it brilliantly. But if that doesn't work, he's screwed. And that's exactly what happened in Wilder Fury 2, because he tried to outbox Fury, and it fell apart, and he couldn't manage it. And I think that that's exactly what's going to happen again. I think Wilder knows that Fury is a better fighter. I think he knows he's got a strong enough chin and a good enough set of boxing fundamentals that Wilder can't beat him. So I think that when Fury when Fury fights Wilder again, Fury's going to win it. Now, I'm filming this the day before Joshua fights Usyk, and I'm assuming here that Joshua is going to walk away with that one. I think it's probably a safe assumption. I think that Joshua is by far the favourite, and Usyk is by far the underdog. However, I'm not 100% on this one, because I think that Joshua is psychologically struggling too, and I think he has been ever since the first fight with Ruiz. I think that he walked into that fight fully 100% confident that he was going to win it. And in round 3, when he floored Andy Ruiz, he knew he'd won it. And he switched off. He relaxed, and it was all fine. He won it. He was celebrating. And then Ruiz beat the count and got back up again. And suddenly Joshua had to switch from having won to having to fight again. And he couldn't do it. And I think if you go back and watch that, you'll see that he's a very different fighter. And, that one got stopped. And I think that's playing in Joshua's head all the time. And I think if you watch his second fight with Ruiz and his fight with Pulev, I think that he's a different fighter. I think he's lost his edge. And I think that normally what you'd have seen is you'd see him come in, he'd rock them, and he'd step it up. And I don't think he does now. And I think he's lost that little bit of edge because there's a fear in him that he could go down and he might not get up again. And just because he's hurt someone doesn't mean he's beaten them. And I think that that's playing in the back of his mind. And when you put that, Joshua knowing that hitting somebody and hurting them doesn't mean he's beaten them, and you put Fury's knowing he can go down to one of the best punchers out there and get back up again and carry on and win it, I think there's only going to be one winner. And that's why I think that Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, is actually the best fighter out there. Tell me I'm wrong.